This whole Apple Creator Studio thing, you had questions, I had questions, so I asked Apple and got some answers. Logic Pro, Final Cut Pro, Pixelmator, Mainstage, Compressor, Motion, Pages, Numbers, Keynote. Apple has taken all of those apps, put them together, called it Creator Studio, and they're charging either a monthly or an annual fee to use it. Some of you are very excited by this. Some of you have questions. And the good news is, last week I had the chance to speak to Apple directly to ask some of those questions. And these interviews are very rare, so quite chuffed, to be honest. And equally, I wanted to know, who is it for? What was the main challenge they were trying to solve when they created Creator Studio? The whole subscription versus buy outright thing, which there are a lot of questions around that, and what makes it unique. I've got a very strong opinion about Creator Studio, which we'll get to later. But before that, here's a very interesting interview with Apple. John, Will, thank you for joining me for this interview. Really appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to getting an inside track on Creator Studio, because you guys have been behind the scenes on this, obviously, so very rare that we get to hear this. Can we just have a quick introduction from both of you? So perhaps John, starting with yourself, what your role is?
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for having us, Mark. I'm John Dante. I've been at Apple for a few decades. I've been working on the music creation app, so I lead our music creation app experiences, everything from voice memos, GarageBand, Logic, Mainstage. I'm a musician, a multi-instrumentalist, singer-songwriter, sound designer, maybe a dancer, no. But yeah, I get to come in every day and work with this incredible team to build these apps.
And I'm Will Hoy. I'm part of the product marketing team that oversees our amazing collection of video apps. So that's Final Cut Pro, Motion, Compressor, Final Cut Camera. And I also come from an editing background, so it's really amazing that I get to work on the tools that in the past helped me with my livelihood and passion. So it's a real honor, and thanks for having us.
We've all got something in common, really. I think I kind of straddle the two. So obviously I'm a content creator, run a YouTube channel, so video and editing are two of my things these days. But since the age of about 12, I've been a bedroom music producer, and Logic means an awful lot to me. So the first question I've got, guys, is what is Apple Creator Studio addressing for creators? What problem, what issue, what challenges do you think have been faced that Creator Studio can address?
Apple has always been inspired by creators just like yourself. So from the very beginning, we've worked to bring these powerful tools to bring the best ideas to life. And a core tenet of our creative apps has always been about empowering the users and exploring artistic expression and then sharing that work with the world. But critically, as we're seeing now, this global creator economy is continuing to grow. Creators have become largely multidisciplinary. They're not, a musician like yourself isn't just songwriting. They're producing tracks, they're designing album artwork, they're editing music videos, they're creating promotion tools, even some are doing merch. So it's incredible how this space has grown.
Yeah, absolutely. Multidisciplinary creators really rely on trusted creative apps and productivity tools to do their best work seamlessly. Wherever inspiration happens to strike, and with Apple Creator Studio, we now have an incredible collection of apps that really meets the diverse needs of these creators. With new premium features, they're all available at a single subscription at a really compelling price point, really making Apple's apps more accessible than ever before.
And I guess, like we've kind of demonstrated on this call, I guess a lot of people want more than one type of discipline to be catered for, don't they? So whether it be video editing and audio, is that something that you found working with creators?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they bounce around from app to app all the time. They may start an idea in one place and then move to another. But even if you're anchored in a specific art form, these other pieces of the creative puzzle are really important to them. So yeah, that's really what Creator Studio speaks to.
So rounding back to Logic Pro, and without giving away my age, I remember the very early versions of Logic. I genuinely love what Apple has done with it. You've taken it and you've really built on it to the point where it is obviously a pro app, but it's something which is used by people who are bedroom producers right up to professional studios. But what do you think the modern day Logic user is? Who is that person?
Yeah, that's and it's keen for you to, and I appreciate you being with the app for as long as you have. It's really difficult to describe every type of customer, because Logic has grown, firstly to be really powerful, but of course remarkably easy to use. So because of that, it's attracted almost every category of music maker and audio editor or sound designer alike. And so we hear consistently from these customers across the spectrum who use it for, songwriting, producing, beat making. But then we have people who use it, just to mix and audio edit it, now increasingly in spatial audio. And then there's some who just use it to edit podcasts. And then in every one of those areas, there's a variety of skill levels. So people come in at different entry points into the app. So it's really grown to this place where there's really something for everyone to enjoy or learn from these experiences. And the way that we've designed the application, there are folks that just will concentrate on just a few areas of the app and features that they like and never wade into other areas. So there is something for everyone.
Yeah, and now with Logic Pro and Apple Creator Studio, we're going to expect to learn even more about how they're going to leverage a broad range of AI features, the premium content that we have really across the suite of apps. And we're really excited to see the new ways that they're going to create and build, really getting hands-on and exploring with access to all these other apps as well, in addition to Logic.
But they're really great entry points into the experience. I mean, certainly GarageBand, I don't think I've met an artist yet that doesn't have a wonderful GarageBand story, which is a part of their genesis as an artist.
When you were working with creators on this project, 'cause obviously I know you consulted a lot of people who were using these applications. Did anything surprise you with the way they were using them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just in general, seeing how important it is to stay in the creative flow. They're running so quickly, jumping between apps, so really encountering any hurdle or obstacle on the way can really break that creative flow. The second, I think, is just seeing the fearlessness to which they engage with new technologies. They might not be familiar with. I think the rules with many users that have a little bit more experience or years in the game, they're kind of set in their processes or workflows, but they don't really apply to these kind of new modern creators. They take this as a challenge and inspiration to experiment, to try that new effect, try that new feature, twist that knob to 11 to see what happens. It's really cool.
Amazing, yeah, and that really speaks to the core benefit of Creator Studio is the apps are really designed to work in ways that we feel kind of mirror the creative process itself. And so that the technology should enable the ideas themselves to flow freely wherever you are. And then you're empowered to then use the app or the feature that best suits the moment and keeps you in that state of flow.
Yeah, big fan of the Spinal Tap reference there as well, Will. Thank you for that. I suppose leading on from that, what do you see the ideal Creator Studio user being? And the reason I asked that is because I've already seen questions from my audience, from people who are saying, we appreciate we can still buy both of these apps in particular outright. We can purchase Logic Pro, for instance, with one-time fee and be done with it. Who is that person?
It's a really great question. We really think that Apple Creator Studio is going to appeal to that multidisciplinary creator who is really doing it all. And I can give you a few examples. So we can think of a creator that might anchor in a specific discipline like music, but they're still going to look to video and design to create elements for their social media campaigns to grow their presence online. We can think about creators who are more focused on crafting content, whether that's lifestyle or just a passion topic that they want to educate their users on. They're still going to look, again, across video, design, and music to help better tell those stories. And then the last category I think that's important is also solo entrepreneurs or small business owners. They're going to look to that same technology to communicate and market their services online. So we really think that the apps in Creator Studio are going to deliver an incredible range of features and content, really meeting them where they're at.
Also for the professional user who may just, as you mentioned, just use one of these apps exclusively, and perhaps their work is specific, maybe they're editing in a company, or maybe it's just even a fun hobby. Having an option to purchase those apps individually will certainly appeal to them. Even in that case, there are pro users who might be engaged more in freestyle type work, where the access to the Creator Studio experience is pretty appealing for them too, because they're looking for ways now in this new creator economy to promote their offerings to customers and companies online. So there is something for them as well that is certainly appealing.
I think the fact you've given people the choice, that's very important with the subscription versus the outright purchase. And just to confirm, with the outright purchase, for example, of Logic Pro, people still get the updates, don't they? So they still get the updates going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we're coming into this launch, mean, we've had customers that have experiences with these apps for decades. So it was really important for us to make sure that we had an offering for them and celebrate their work as well. So yeah, the versions that they have today will update like they always have. And then for those who do want to approach the app as a one-time purchase, those apps will be available on the App Store. They'll have the same features. So the options are there, but there's a lot to love in Apple Creator Studio, and we think that's going to be a lot for them to enjoy as well.
And on that note, it is such a big platform if you combine everything all in one piece. But even with the individual apps like Logic Pro and Final Cut Pro, my experience of music software is that it can either inspire you to get in and make music, or it can just completely overwhelm you. I've experienced both sides of the fence. How do you ensure that isn't the case? How do you ensure users can get straight into these pieces of software and start doing the creative stuff?
For us, I mean, certainly apps like Logic and Final Cut, the user itself has always been our center point of light to everything that we build. So, starting there gives us this foundation and provides, fuel for every decision that we're making. And that's what really drives us. It certainly what gets me excited every morning when I wake up and come to work. But there's things like we're presenting remarkably sophisticated technologies that we have in our AI session players, but then present them with controls that are intuitive, almost obvious to use, are ways that we can really streamline that experience.
Yeah, and this really extends across Creator Studio. So the apps themselves share key technologies that deliver consistent experiences. So when we think about a feature like super resolution and auto crop, that's going to work across Pixelmator, Keynote, Pages, Numbers, and images from the new Content Hub, for example, you're going to be able to use that and edit that in Pixelmator as well. And when we think about a feature like beat detection in Final Cut Pro, we actually borrowed that AI technology from our friends over at Logic, so thank you, Dante.
Smart tempo.
Yeah. So just opportunities to work across the apps and to really leverage technology that exists in other apps for that common experience, we think is really important. And really, this is just the beginning. There's more to come. Apple Creator Studio is going to continue to meet the creator community as they too evolve.
And of course, the products are, it's always important to mention that the products across our ecosystem complement that experience as well. I think very well, speaking to many of your artist friends, voice memos for many people is that place where a lot of these ideas will first start, vocal, found sounds, things like that. Capturing on the go, those recordings can be added, directly into Logic. You can turn them into musical instruments. You can now even record with layered recording without headphones and have discrete tracks loaded in. And now we're also supporting spatial audio, so you could do the studio voice technology as part of that. So there's a key point there. And then with Final Cut Camera, it gives you access to those professional controls when you're capturing video. But then when you couple it with Final Cut Pro for iPad, it powers live multicam and then turns your iPad into this handheld studio that you can use up to 4 cameras.
Just quickly picking up on something you said a moment ago, John, about the AI session players. I am a bit old-fashioned with this. How would you convince someone like me who likes getting into MIDI regions and moving MIDI notes around to engage with an AI session player in Logic Pro? Because I need convincing that I need to put those guys into my into my sessions. What would you say to someone like me?
I mean, the wonderful part about the AI experience for session players is that, these weren't built on large language models, and they're not creating static audio performances. What we did is we started working with skilled musicians, and our approach was to build a model and an engine that could think and play like they would. And so we focused on the musicianship and the musicality of not the output of the music, but how a musician will approach playing a part along with your song. And the other benefit too, I think even for those, maybe not directly for you, but people that are just first starting out in this industry, knowing how to communicate to another musician, if let's say you're a bedroom producer and you want to work with a bass player or a keyboard player, describing what it is that you want is really difficult. So the session players actually offer this playground where you can experiment and try things. And then we purposely build inside the editor a lot of the language and the lingo, if you will, that session players use when they're describing what they're doing to play. So you basically have this moment where you understand what's being played, you choose something, but then when you do work with a real musician based off of that, you can say, well, I think, can you add a little more complexity in this part? Or maybe do something a little more melodic, or maybe simplify the chords, and etc.
I think you've convinced me, John. I need to get the synth player playing tonight, I think, don't I?
I could talk about these session players all day long.
I didn't realize you could trigger external instruments, actually. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So if you got your favorite, polysynth or, monosynths, because we have synth bass and we have the chordal player as well. So, and they work really, really well. So if you've got that old TB303 in the back that you want to trigger with that too, it's super fun. Super fun.
I wish I had one of those. Last question, guys. What makes Creator Studio unique? Someone who's looking at this and maybe something else. What makes it unique from your point of view?
Yeah, well, we realize that, our creators have a variety of preferences, and that's why we're keeping the one-time purchase option for Logic Pro, Mainstage, Final Cut Pro, Compressor, Motion, and Pixelmator Pro. Those are all going to be available in the Mac App Store. Those are going to be receiving those updates, as John mentioned, on January 28th. I should also mention that viewing, creating, editing, and also collaborating in our productivity apps will remain free for all our customers. So we remain committed to all of our existing customers that have been with us for many, many years. But we're really, really excited about Apple Creator Studio offering this really accessible, amazing new suite of creative tools at a really accessible price point, meeting creators where they're at in their creative journey.
It's kind of wild to think that you said a little bit earlier about if you had access to this when you were first starting out, being able to deliver the same professional level, native, powerful apps that some of the biggest producers in the world use their work now accessible to virtually anyone is really, really amazing. So yeah, we're excited to get it in everyone's hands, and we can't wait to see what they create with it.
Okay, time for my very strong opinion on Creator Studio. I think it is incredible value. Let me put some context around this very quickly. So as alluded to in that interview, I'm old. I'm 46, and in the 90s, I spent a lot of my teens making music in my bedroom. Stop laughing at the back. And back then it was expensive, it was complicated. I had to install Logic on a PC back then, which meant blue screens all the time, all the rest of it. And because I couldn't afford a Peter Gabriel studio, I had to make do with what I could afford, and back then it wasn't very good. If you could transport me from 1995 to now, I would be so over the moon, because one, at that age I could qualify probably as a student and pay £3, £3, $3 a month, whatever, to get Creator Studio, and not just get Logic Pro as it is now, which is a universe away from what it was back then. I'd also get Final Cut Pro, Pixelmator, and all this stuff for £3 a month, no upfront fee. I'm struggling to kind of convey this, but anyone who's made music in the 80s and 90s will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's an embarrassment of riches these days, and to get all that stuff, even at full price for 129 quid, $129 a year, or $12.99 a month, is such good value. And remember, you can still buy those apps outright if you want to. Again, for what I think is a very reasonable price. But now, guys, it's over to you. I want to hear what you think about that interview. I want to know what you think about Creator Studio. Do you have a similar story to myself? Get involved down below. I'll get involved as well. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do, because it's you guys that get me in front of Apple and give me these opportunities to ask those questions. Thank you. I just watched that back. I said I was 46. I'm 45, which is still old, but just wanted to clarify that.